Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the showdown between the Chaos Dwarfs and the Lizardmen. It's going to be myself with a Kadai Destroyer and a Demon Smith facing off against Subutai here, who's going to be coming in with Lord Mazdamundi, Samsaris, and Chameleon Skinks. A good time for all. Now, as far as the build goes, the main combo is going to be using the Kadai Destroyer, which of course is a Hellforged monster if you look at the little tooltip here, and then using the Demon Smith to give him some fat healing using the Reforge ability, which is pretty strong. So you have this big healing monster, which of course in its own right is a very good fighter. Can certainly go fisticuffs with characters like Mazdamundi. Looking at a stat comparison, we see 62, 34, 748 against, much lower. So 26, 42, and 480. So Mazdamundi in a straight up duel would get absolutely smashed by a Kadai Destroyer. So he also is going to be our Magician. The Demon Smith Sorcerer does have Lore of Fire with Burning Head and Cascading Fire Cloak, which is very nice for the Chaos Dwarves because it does have Kindle Flame, which makes the entire enemy army weak to fire damage for 15 seconds, which is on a lot of your units. The Blazing Beards of Basharak here, my Magma Cannon, my Deathshrieker rocket launcher back here, all that stuff is going to be doing fire damage. And, having a 20% damage buff to a couple shots, not bad at all. So we do also have Blazing Beards, like I said. These guys, armor-piercing blasting charges. You can use them against single entities or against monsters and cavalry, whatever, which is very, very good. We have Gorda's Backstabber. He's just a nice objective holder, so we're going to be sending him over to the far side to hold that point. And I've since changed my tune on the Deathshrieker. I think I looked at it a little bit harshly in the beginning. This thing is actually a really good single entity shooter. It's not good at dueling enemy artillery because cannons and traditional anti-large artillery pieces or just anything that's meant for artillery trading is just going to dominate it. The rocket is good though, however, at shooting at monsters. So it just goes up, has pretty good tracking, and you just lock it on to a Lord Mazdamundi type character, an Urgle single entity, and it's going to be doing some work for you. So that's it for my army. And for my opponent here, it is going to be Saurus Warriors, so there's going to be 4 of those bad boys. A couple Saurus Spheres in the back, most likely to deal with monsters, Chameleon Skinks, and Lord Mazdamundi, which isn't bad. He's pretty good at clearing out elite dwarf infantry, so if I do have Fire Sworn, those type of units, that's quite solid. And, Fireglaves and elite Chaos Dwarf infantry are, pretty common. A lot of people use them so far in the early games we played. So I think Ruination of Cities and Banishment on a stick is really not bad at all. Now, the Fireborn's going to be moving up. He only has 90 armor, though. Well, not only, it's still a lot, but is going to be getting poked by Chameleon Skinks and feeling kind of bad about himself, so he will be running away. The Colossal Beast falling back to the ranks, and the Fire Rain rocket, or the Deathshrieker rocket launcher, is going to be tracking Mazdamundi now. So I believe it did rip a shot downtown, did some okay damage, but now Mazdamundi does get hit with the first rocket, which does take about 600 HP off him. He does have 15% missile resist with the Sunburst standard, or 10% actually. That was 15. And a little bit of Haggard Pathing here is going to cost me a bit, but I do manage to split up at the last second, so I dodged kind of one of them, but the other one does go through, and the Blazing Beards basically take the epicenter of that. And now we got the King Kong versus Godzilla fight. We have the Kadai Destroyer, which I do actually think is going to be decent in a couple matchups. It's a really, really hard-hitting monster. It does bully Mazdamundi, does about another 1,000 HP damage, forces that bad boy back. And now the Destroyer going to be pursuing a little bit, but is poisoned by the Chameleon Skinks nearby, so really not going to be able to close the distance. So the Banishment did tickle the Blazing Beards. They still have 90 of 103 models, so their blasting charge capabilities are still good. And so far, the Kadai Destroyer going to be getting the Reforge. Did have a good fight versus Lord Mazdamundi, so not unhappy about that. Now, as far as the points go, Gorda's Backstabber and the Chaos Dwarf Warrior sitting over there. Middle objective, we're going to be pushing our Chaos Dowie infantry up on. And once again, the Destroyer is going to be moving in and just kind of bullying Mazdamundi with 700 plus weapon strength. Not bad, but a rocket hits it directly in the back. Chaos Dwarves just have a super big hard-on for friendly firing things. I'm telling you, of all the rosters I've played, I can't tell you how many wild games I've had where you just shoot one of your things in the back and pay the price. Now, the Demon Sorcerer was my intention for my Lord. My caster is my Lord, but I accidentally made the Kadai Destroyer my Lord, so if he dies, I'm going to be taking an army-wide penalty, which I was like, no! Another rocket shot on Mazdamundi doing fat damage, and now we have our actual Lord out, which is going to be Zaytan the Black. He is quite good. He does have a snare, he has a leadership debuff, and against Lizardmen, snares are going to be good. Coldwind Riders against their monsters, and he himself is on a Bale Taurus, which is going to make him an okay duelist. It's not a Bale Taurus, he's not a great Taurus, so he's not going to be as good as Draz Hoeth as a straight up fighter, but overall can do the job. So Mazda is still getting poked by that Deathshrieker rocket launcher, as the other Magma Cannon going to be going downtown and wearing through some of the Saurus units. Here on the flank, we do have the Chaos Warriors and the Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits just kind of chilling. El Gordo Backstabber also going to be trying to defend that point. And I figured having Zaytan the Black here with a -8 leadership buff, if he's enough infantry or nearby, would be pretty good for buckling that position. Now up on the high ground, Lizardmen have grabbed the point. We got Saurus Warriors and Saurus Spheres, which should trade kind of poorly into Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Saurus have never traded well into Longbeard tier units, and Chaos Dwarf Warriors are a slight downgrade from Longbeard of the Dwarves. Frontline fighting's underway. Chaos Dwarf Infantry versus the Saurus, like I said, should be pretty favorable. Granted, Saurus do have really good staying power. and those dinosaurs will be able to kind of stay on the point for quite some time, especially with Gorda's Backstabber coming in. He's going to be providing some nice fire support as the Magma Cannon gets some good blasts. Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, also not bad fighters. They would lose to Saurus, but if they have Dwarfs nearby, their leadership isn't bad. It goes up to 51 instead of the low 40s. And now we do have a fight coming in from Zaytan the Black. So Zaytan going to be battling against the Rev Crystal. He himself, like I said, not a bad fighter, armor piercing. And the Destroyer also will put some big damage down. Although, you know, some of the Chameleon Skinks as well as the Cold and Spear Riders, they can wear down Destroyer pretty quickly. It's not as tanky as, like, I find the Elemental Bear just, like, lasts longer. I don't know what it is. But Burning Head going down, it has that cool explosion. Looks like there is going to be a banishment from Lord Mazdamundi, which pretty much crumps a lot of my supporting infantry here. You can see the Chaos Dwarf Warriors are going to be breaking and running, leaving my Kadai Destroyer a little bit unsupported, and Zaytan the Black also in a little bit of a precarious situation now, as Lord Mazdamundi trying to stay back. He doesn't want to get gooned, which is smart, because if he came close, Zaytan and the Kadai Destroyer could probably goon him using nets. But now my Destroyer is going to be trying to run away. And a big, big comet coming down. Beautiful play from my opponent. Nukes my Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits. And now the Destroyer is trying to fight, so it's going to be trying to battle the Bastillodon, but ultimately I was trying to pull back. I used the Reforge ability, but this is the one thing why I think Destroyers aren't going to be as good as some other monsters, is because they're demons. So the big issue with that is when they like lose leadership for even a second, Disintegration from Demonic Instability does a shit ton of damage. So instantly he's like stabilizing, but he's barely getting poked, just like a couple Chameleon Skinks. But the Kadai Destroyer is getting karate chopped by that. And ultimately he's just going to wither and die. He had 3,000 HP, but it goes super quick with Demonic Instability. So yeah, I feel like the Kadai Destroyer is a little bit janky, and ultimately it kind of gets my opponent back in the game a little bit. But the rocket's blasting away, shooting into Mazdamundi. He gets tapped again. Infernal Ironsworn have come out. We're going to be using the hand grenades, so they got their unholy hand grenades of Hashut. And unfortunately, Big Mazdamundi is going to be coming in to send a message, but their grenades do get off and do a fair amount of damage against the Bastillodon. And now Lizardmen are right back in this game. With the healing taken into account for Mazdamundi, the value's really close, and the Kadai Destroyer just disintegrated. I couldn't believe it was going down so quickly, but you know, it is what it is. Now on the high ground, Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, who do have Vanguard and Stock, are able to get up on the point. Hobgoblin Wolf Riders going to be supporting those bad boys. In the meantime, we do have the Blazing Beards of Asherik, as well as Chaos Dwarf Warriors holding off the Saurus, and the big epicenter of combat is going to be on the side of the battlefield. However, Zaytan the Black doing a good job against Mazdamundi, in tandem with the Deathshrieker rocket launcher, and Ruination of Cities most likely going to be going down, I think. Or is that a Comet of Cassandor? Looks like it was a Comet, and thankfully the Infernal Ironsworn are able to get out of the way. A little bit of collateral damage does take out some models, but at the end of the day, works out okay. Another rocket, direct hit on Lord Mazdamundi. Looking at the Death Streak back here, probably sitting at a decent amount of value. So if we take a look at this bad boy, 2,600, certainly not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Gorda's Backstabber, trying to fight on that point, but Lord Mazdamundi is probably going to have a message for him, and I didn't want to chase here. There's a lot of Saurus and Coldland Spear Rider, so Zaytan would have gotten his butt kicked if we decided to go over there. So back on this point, Chaos Dwarf Warriors still holding very well. We use Hobgoblin Wolf Riders, which I believe do have a flanking ability. So let me go ahead and double check that. So yeah, when you rear charge someone, you get 25% weapon strength. So we attacked into flanking into Saurus, which is going to massively increase the attack, the attack output here, or not output, but damage of the Hobgoblins, making them a very, very good unit in my opinion. I think Hobgoblin Wolf Riders for their price point are solid. Not overpowered or anything, but just very, very solid. They do what they do. Now, looking back here, Zaytan doing glorious Mortal Kombat with the Bastillodon, which is flammable at the moment, so it is debuffed with fire, the Kindle Flame synergy, and Zaytan himself doing fire damage since he's on a big old Taurus. Not bad at all, but Mazdamundi and company do have a lot of healing. They have 2 Rev Crystals out in the field at the moment, in tandem with the Apotheosis. That's my new favorite word lately. I probably need to chill out on that one a little bit. I'll try my best. So, Burning Head going down. Burning Head going to be tickling the Saurus, and I love the new rework that Lord Fire. It's so random that there's like, Lord Fire rework, it makes sense. Chaos Dwarfs, of course, love their fire. Infernal Ironsworn, proving why they are the stalwart to the Chaos Dowie. As you do have the Magma Cannons blasting into the Chameleon Skinks here. Those guys taking a little bit of damage from the Overtime Vortex. Demonsmith Sorcerers, they make cool characters. Also, the Lord version, so the Prophet Sorcerer is really, really rad because they both have these like pistols that imbue fire weakness. So you can use them to like goon things and shoot single entities. They don't do a ton of damage, but overall, it's not insignificant, and it can add up over the course of a long game. So middle objective owned by my Chaos Dwarves. 2 units of Chaos Dwarf Warriors fighting here with the Hobgoblins able to break the Saurus. Up in the high ground, we get a good position on this as we have Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, which will be able to defeat Red Crested Skinks in combat. Red Crested Skinks, you're paying for the armor piercing. They're not really going to be as good against like a dedicated infantry piece. Granted, the leadership on my guys is 30 and these guys is 62, so the leadership alone could be a variable as it pertains to that duel. So on the other side, we finally get some answers out for big, large stuff. We get the Bull Centaur Renders with their anti-large beat sticks, so they should be able to beat down the Bastillodon here. So you're going to be taking that thing to Pound Town, and yeah, they do a lot of damage. Bull Centaurs really, really pack a huge punch. So the Bastillodon getting shot to pieces or bashed to pieces, and we do have Zaytan the Black coming across to go after the other Rev Crystal, as we do have the Rocket going after it. You know, I was shooting at Mazda Money, but I was like, let's cut the head off the healing here, right? And we do also use a Sadistic Snare. So Zaytan has a snare. It's super short range. It has to be used right next to him, but I think it's very good for determining the outcome of cavalry fights. One of the big weaknesses of Bull Centaurs, in which I've seen them lose to Bretonia and other Cav factions, is that they're slow, so they usually don't dictate the engagements. But with Zaytan on the battlefield, using Sadistic Snare with Bull Centaurs is a really strong combo. It not only lowers their melee defense, but it also locks them in place, allowing the Bull Centaur Renders to really get those super optimal fights. And you can see instantly those Cold One Riders just got crushed. Absolutely crushed. Now in the middle, Dwarf Warriors, just stalwart as hell. You know, they inherited the stubbornness from their Dwarven cousins. Not quite as stubborn, but certainly in the ballpark, as we do see a Magma Cannon shot, a bit of a direct hit on those 2 cavalry units, so not bad at all. Deathshreaker Rocket has kept Mazda Mundi honest. You know, if he was healthier, he probably wouldn't be so nervous about playing in my backfield, but since we've been able to kind of keep him low, it's been good. But Zaytan is also kind of low himself. The Bale Tauruses, or the Great Tauruses, they only have 60 armor in their profile. Zaytan is much tankier if he's on foot, but when you're on the Taurus, it kind of uses their armor profile, so Zaytan is going to be, you know, a little bit squishier here. Looking at the Sadistic, let's see what the Sadistic profile is if you check right now. So right now it's only -2 if there's only like a unit nearby, but when there's like a big blob, if you were to fight right here, it would probably go up to -8. So another Magma Cannon shot, shooting into the Golden Spear Riders. Lord Mazda Mundi coming for the fight against Zaytan, but he is able to get back up in the sky. Don't want to take that fight. He's kind of low. Mazda Mundi is still very scary. He's got 130 armor. That man does not mess around. High ground objective in our control. We do have a unit of Bull Centaur Renders with dual axes, so that was my new summon. I saw some Saurus going up here, and potentially there was going to be an objective theft. So the dual wielding axes, very good at just cutting through infantry. They pack as much of a punch as their anti-large buddies, and now should be able to sweep down into the middle and hopefully allow me to recontrol that. Lizards do have a 2 cap right now. They have gotten it back. It is currently a big value lead for myself, 12,000 to 8. With healing being taken into account, it's probably more like 12,000 to, I would say, 10. Maybe 10.5, so I would say I roughly have a 1,500 value lead on these bad boys. As a Magma Cannon, just shooting into whatever infantry it can. My Deathshriek did run out of ammunition, if I'm not mistaken, and I did just resummon it in. So just trying to put that constant pressure on Mazda Mundi. Looking at the value it has so far, it's 3,500. I mean, yeah, you know, when it first came out, I was looking at the Deathshriek under the lens of an artillery dueling piece, but as far as like shooting at SEs, you have like the blunderbusses with Chaos Dwarfs, but also in the Infernal Ironglaves, both of which aren't super long range, so it forces you to get in like a danger close position. Another huge shot from the Deathshriek right there. Beautiful stuff. As El Gordo on the side and the Infernal Ironsworn of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors might be able to grind this objective back. Clever Girls are very good against Chaos Dwarfs. They're kind of a small target, good at grinding your infantry, also good against the Chaff Infantry because of their high armor. But we have a good lock on this objective. Some Hobgoblins sitting here and some Chaos Dwarf Warriors that could obviously fall back. And yeah, Mazda Mundi's in trouble, man. He's sitting at 1,300 HP, getting shot by the big old rockets, Magma Cannon in the distance. Able to break some Cold One Spear Riders. Looking at the value right now, we're still holding it, but Lizards are still scrapping on several points, and we have not been able to get this one back. Currently looking at the points, I'm sitting at 950 to my opponent's 706, as Gordo Backstabber continues to just fight to the best of his abilities here. Another rocket, Mazda Mundi getting nailed, -3, and he might be running off the battlefield. You can see a new domination. The unsummoned timer is going to be quite a bit longer, as these guys will be unsummoning in about 10 seconds. I really like that change. I think it was a really good change. So, Mazda Mundi at -5. I think the rocket might be able to shoot one more shot. Nope, he gets out of range, so Mazda Mundi most likely will run off the battlefield and or be unsummoned. Just reinforcing the high ground here. Seeing it's kind of a weakness. A couple, skink cohorts could run over here, and the Hobgoblins have god-awful leadership unless they're near Chaos Dwarves. So the Hobgoblin Sneaky Get's going to be getting to Objective 1, and now we have a big battle in the middle for that objective. Whereas Gordo's Backstabber and a couple Infernal Ironsworn able to re-rally and get that side point back, which was nice. And he's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with these Bull Centaurs. There's 2 units of Bull Centaurs here, both of which, one has dual weapons, one has anti-large, but the dual weapons will cut through any sort of infantry very quickly. I feel like they're like what Demogryph Knights with Lances wish they were. They feel like Lances feel good on the charge, but Demogryph Knights with Lances feel like they fall off in sustained combat, whereas Bull Centaurs, they have good enough stats where they just like really grind super well in sustained combat. Demon Smith Sorcerer is here also. He does have the Contempt ability, so any chaff units near him are going to be getting the buffs. And for that purpose, Bull Centaurs also have Contempt. So if they are near like any sort of a chaff unit, like a Hobgoblin, they will be getting their Malign Authority, and those guys are going to be holding on. So over on the far side, Gordo Backstabber heading back to objective number 3, and objective 1 is pretty firmly in our control. And we're starting to get to that point where you're going to feel the crunch. Lord Mazda Mundi did run off the back of the battlefield, and the thing about Deathshrieks is, oh man, look at that. Double Silver Chevron earned, and it's gotten 4,000 value. They do have a decent anti-infantry profile. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. Like, I can see Deathshrieks being used in a situation where you're not sure if you're going to be facing SEs or infantry spam, because it's like they do not as good as magma cannons, but I actually really have come to love the design of these things. So that's not a bad hit. It's not like amazing, but it's not terrible. It's not as good as a magma cannon, which is a kind of a dedicated anti-infantry piece, but it gets the job done. So that's going to be a triple cap for the Chaos Dwarves, as we got some Saurus moving in there, but that's basically going to be GG. As Zaytan the Black going to be cackling. You guys remember, was it Zoltan from Dude, Where's My Car? Who remembers that? How many of fellow boomers in chat here? But Zaytan gets in there, probably going to get a leadership debuff. We have some Hobgoblins moving in, also Infernal Ironsworn, and elite units going to be moving over to the other points here. Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Definitely not going to be able to grab this one back, as the Bull Centaurs are just cleaving through everything, and we do get to the basically the point of no return. A little bit of pressure on the side point, but El Gordo able to hold it, and Zaytan comes over and is able to crump some of those guys, and that will be it. GG. So, I know we posted the Nurgle replay a couple days ago, or maybe it'll be later, but you guys have seen that the Deathshrieks can be good. Overall, I've had some limited success with the Kadai Destroyer, but as soon as its leadership flips, it gets caught in one bad situation, it goes down. It just folds like a piece of paper. Whereas like the Elemental Bear for Kislev doesn't have that problem, and I think it's quite a bit better than the Kadai Destroyer. It has the Frostbite. Breath Attack is pretty good. It's not useless, though, but you really got to babysit it, and I didn't do a good job. I was a little bit too aggressive, but really, I mean, was I? Like, I felt like the Chameleon Skanks killed it really quickly. Strange stuff. 4,500 on the Deathshriek. However, it was summoned twice. So considering it cost 1,350, it still did a very good job. But yeah, obviously sitting on a big Mazda Money type character is pretty good. El Gordo, not bad. 2,300 here on ye old Magma Cannon. And looking the rest of the Lizard Army, we can see some good performances. So GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We'll see you back next time. And yeah, we continue to explore this meta. Can't wait to play this with all you guys, get some tournaments going. That's really going to be fun. I'm just already eager for release. Enough games. Give it to us, precious. See you next time. Take care of yourselves. And that's going to be it for tonight.